Hello everyone, welcome back to TechDose, and in this video I am here to discuss about a very important question that has already been coming in a lot of people's mind, that is DSA relevant enough in 2026 so that you can spend a lot of time learning DSA? Should we also think about learning for some other roles like AI rather than DSA, because we have been hearing that maybe DSA is lost and AI is already coding everything from scratch. So why should we think about even learning DSA? So this is a short video where I will be giving you my perspective, and I'll give you two main reasons on this entire question. And by the end of the video, I think you will get a very good clarity about whether you should be doing DSA or no DSA, and should you actually move on to learning something else. Let's talk about DSA with respect to hiring. So if a company has to hire, there has to be a certain set standard so that two different people can be differentiated based on similar level of interview questions. Now this is quite simple when it comes to a very small company. Consider that I have a company of only 10 people where I need to hire somebody who can help me in making my website techdose.co.in. So if I need help with a very specific job for a small company, then I will be interviewing the person only for the web development work and see if he can do the designing, or if he can do the UI, if he can do the backend work. So based on the specific roles, I will be interested in hiring if I am a small company. So for small companies, very small companies, asking DSA is not a relevant thing, because the other person may not be knowing DSA, and it's completely fine if they can get my job done. So when we talk about the smallest level of companies, then DSA is not important. Now let's think about a larger company where you have, let's say, 200 employees. So when you have 200 employees, it is not in the mid-tier category, but it is just below the mid-tier category. In such case, it is not very small where the most important person can see what the new candidate or the potential candidate is doing. But what they can do is they can give you a work assignment based on their own work and just ask you to develop a feature or tweak a feature or do some kind of debugging based on a ticket. They can give you some access as well, or some simulated environment. In that case, you are taking the job and you have to get it done within, let's say, 24 hours to 48 hours. That is sensible on their part, and they might also ask very simple logical questions so as to see how you do logical deduction. So those kind of questions can be simple DSAs like array, linked list, two pointer, etc. So based on that, those companies may start hiring, and those companies may also ask you the system design question in case you are applying for a higher roles like a senior role. Then definitely the system design is going to be very crucial. But think about a mid-tier company now with, let's say, thousands of employees. Then in that case, it is quite difficult for companies to actually set up this development work criteria to actually hire somebody, because now the top management is not looking at the candidates. Instead, they want all the candidates to be given equal playground, okay, equal set of questions, or equal level of questions, I should say. So when different people have to be given equal set of questions or level of questions, then asking them about development becomes quite trickier, because somebody may have done a development work in a very specific field, and even though two different people might have worked on Java backend, but they might have worked on two different fields, let's say Java backend for an example. So asking a question, a very specific question, might be unfair to somebody, because it is just by luck that you know it or you don't know it, or maybe somebody might have worked on it in the backend, somebody might not have worked on it, right? So it is an unfair advantage to somebody who may not be the deserving candidate, whereas a deserving candidate may not get the answer, right? So who is deserving and who is not deserving, or maybe my job is a proprietary backend which is actually not available outside. So what should we actually do for hiring? So instead of asking the very specific project questions, what companies came up with is let's try to ask something which requires some effort in learning, that shows logical deduction of the candidates, and also that can actually provide equal opportunity to everyone, to all the candidates, because they know what to prepare. And so if somebody can answer and somebody cannot answer, then I can differentiate which candidate should be preferred, because I am picking the candidate not just based on how smart is the candidate, but also based on if he knows about what has to be done, then is he taking steps to do it. Then this requirement was actually solved by data structures and algorithms. What data structures and algorithm does is it provides a large set of questions, a large set of algorithms and data structure, which is not very easy to understand, not very easy to improve at. It requires good amount of time and effort. Also, it requires logical deduction. But you know that anybody can be quite good at DSA in order to get any level of companies, be it the FANG companies even. Okay, so it is not unfair that only a few people will be able to prepare up to FANG level companies. So anyone can do that. But according to person, it may vary, like how much time it will take depending on how much effort you are putting, how much background maths knowledge you may have, maths, physics, etc. Those knowledge can actually help you in doing well in programming and learning programming faster. So everyone knows about the syllabus now, everyone is required to put effort, and if you are smart you will do it a little faster than the others. So there are many factors which the companies are looking at. Companies are also looking at if the person can learn faster. So based on that, actually, uh, the mid-tier companies, starting from mid-tier companies, if the scale of the company increases, starting from a higher scale like a mid-tier company, you will see that the hiring will definitely involve data structures and algorithms. Okay, now people are not relying on the specific backend questions. Even though they might ask you the backend question in the project round, that will be a very common question. It is not going to be very very specific to your work or their work. Okay, because they know it is unfair, right? So data structures and algorithms play a significant role in filtering out the candidates. Well, that has been happening from multiple decades, and at this point we know that mid tier and if the company size increases, like a large tier company like Amazon, Google, definitely they will ask you the data structures and algorithms, even though their work is quite different, right? I will come to what their work actually involves, but let's say that they will definitely be asking this to provide equal opportunity to all the candidates, and that is a very important point to hire somebody. Now I also heard about the questions that, somebody may be very good at lead code but may not be good at working in the development field. You know how some people actually grind lead code a lot and actually do not know anything outside of that. Well, that is true, but the accuracy rate in hiring through the DSA is quite high when people are looking for good engineers. Like it is generally greater than 80% that people who are good at lead code are also quite good at office work too. Okay, because of their understanding, their logical deduction, and everything, the amount of effort they actually put to learn something. So DSA provides a cost effective way of hiring and filtering out the candidates, right? So this we have learned now. Now, something that has proven in the past from multiple decades, more than 10 years, that we can easily hire good candidates with good accuracy, with the minimal cost, and provide equal playground for each candidate where they do not feel betrayed. DSA is the thing that companies should definitely follow, right? So it provides a good filtering mechanism. So it doesn't even matter if my work actually involves DSA or do not involve DSA. I want to hire good candidates, so I will definitely be having my filter, the first filter being the DSA. And that is why even in 2026 when you go for interview, you will definitely find that DSA is asked all the time. Okay, DSA is asked. Now you might have also heard people talking about, AI has come, so DSA is not required. Well, yes, that is true that AI has come and code generation is happening using AI. But if you compare the software development cycle that used to be present 5 years back and now, then in the software development cycle, first we do the requirement analysis. Once we have given all the requirements, we do the design and architecture. We think about how we will be making the components, where will the components go, and later we jot down the logic of each of the components. Once we have exactly figured out what each of the components should do, then we distribute the job among teams or among people, and they are required to write the code and test the code, and then we do combination of all the components together to make it run as a single entity, right? So with the coming of AI, when you have exactly figured out what you need to code, then you need to write your entire prompt top down, get the code generated. When the code gets generated, which you have not written, it will be quite fast. Let's say you would have written the code in somewhere around 5 days. Now the code generation is happening pretty fast, and you can get this entire job done within 1 day. Fine, you have saved 4 days. But think about it, that when you write the code, you exactly own the code. You know each and every part, how it works. But when a code has been generated by AI, you do not know how it works. You just know the high level details. So you have to dive into the code, and you have to check each and every part, each and every portion, how it works, right? So when you go into the details of each and every portion, understanding will take a lot of time. Even when I say that I know C++, I am good with C++, I do not know everything in C++. Even nobody in Java also can claim that I know everything in Java. Maybe the code that is written in C++ may have a different, better hardware level representation that I am not aware about, or maybe I would not have written in that way, right? So yes, there is a learning to be done too, and there are ways in which you would have coded, whereas the AI is coding. Definitely two different people code in two different ways, and everyone has their own style of coding. Even when you do DSA, you might have figured out that when you read the top down list of answers, how people's style is actually reflected in the post. Okay, now you are being forced to not do it in your style, and actually follow the style of the AI, and AI can actually change on their style from each question, from one question to another question. Okay, you have to keep adapting, you have to keep your eyes open. So reviewing takes a lot of time. In the past, maybe you would not have done review, because after writing each of the code snippet, you are doing review, you are doing manual review, you know exactly what you are doing. Now review is adding 1 day time. Once you are doing review, let's say 1 or 2 days you are taking on review additionally, you have spent 3 days. After this, you would require to do the testing. Now in the AI work, when the code has been generated, you have reviewed, then you would generate the test cases quite fast. Okay, the code coverage is done. Fine, but you would also be required to do refactoring, because when the code is generated, it may not follow the design patterns as you wanted. When the code is generated, it has generated a code to follow your logic step by step, but it may not actually generate the code as per the requirement in such a way that it will fit into all the components, that means the entire application set or in the entire architecture. So those detailing you have to do, refactoring of the code, changing the utilities, moving around the utilities, copy pasting the logic somewhere else. So those kind of work you have to do yourself. Okay, and overall, when you do your own research on this improvement, there is not a lot of improvement, right? There is not a lot of improvement. Even though the code generation is faster, other steps are taking more time. Now, who will do these other steps? How can you do these steps like a code refactoring and understanding and design patterns? Definitely, you have to have a certain level of coding knowledge. That is also one of the reasons why data structures and algorithms would be required, right? So, in top companies, I have seen that DSA knowledge is quite essential. Okay, because you are doing coding work, even though it may seem like a prompt and generation of code, but still that coding knowledge will help you do refactoring, will help you check faster, will help you debug faster. Okay, if you don't have coding knowledge, then definitely you will not be able to do everything. It's not about code generation. So what the companies are aiming for is not to remove software engineers, but actually to speed up the production line, where they were, if one engineer was giving, let's say, 2 code per month, then they will now be giving 3 code per month. So something like that is their overall idea, so that the throughput is increasing. So they want higher throughput so that more job is done. And AI should actually help you like a co-pilot. And actually the software engineers are the real pilots, that the software engineer must do their job and take help from the AI, just like a pilot takes help from a co-pilot, right? So we have covered 2 reasons. One, it is a scalable way to hire among a mass of candidate, a lot of candidates, and provide them equal playground to actually hire with a good accuracy level too. And the second thing that we saw was, it is also essential in your work. Even though AI has come, it cannot do everything. So if you ask me, should I not study anything except for DSA? Well, that is also not true. You should also try evolving your knowledge base. But you should think like DSA was, is, and will be important, because you will definitely be switching your job. So this is going to be important. The relevance of system design has increased. It has become even higher than ever before. I will talk about it in a separate video. You can just comment down below if you have any question, a specific question that I should talk about. And you should also start gaining some knowledge in AI. Okay, and now what you should not fall for is hitting an anxiety in your mind that I need to learn AI right away, and I should follow some course, this course, that course 1, course 2 from this guy, that guy, and try to feel anxious about learning. You should not be anxious. Actually, I think you should be enjoying the stuff, that okay, you will get to learn something, and at the same time you should see that you don't fall into the trap of courses, because there are a lot of courses with so many promises, and once you join, then again you might see that your expectation was not met, or maybe it was not something that you were wishing for, right? So I'm just saying to be aware about the things, and to not take DSA lightly. When you go into the next interview, then definitely DSA is going to come. So keep that in mind, and I wish you all the best. If you still have any question that I should answer, or anything regarding this video, then you can comment down below. Even if you have any request to make the next video or any idea, then you can comment below as well. I'll check it out, and I'll try to make such kind of videos where I can actually break down some of the questions that the general candidates are actually having. Okay, so with this, I take your leave and see you guys in the next video. Thank you.